My fault, Salakia. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. Sound like it. One, two, 1 2. Shalom, Israel. Yo, we about to get into it. Bear with me a sec. All right, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah Barakatah to all my brothers, Yahweh Shemar Elatah Bashim, Yahweh Shah to all my sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, straight out of 1 West 125th Street, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General YAHANNA. And what we do is we teach the Black, Hispanic, and Native people their true identity according to the scriptures, history, and antiquity. And you know what I'm saying? That comes with a bunch of responsibilities. One of the responsibilities is following the laws of God, to the T through the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Not by the letter, but through the spirit. But bear with me 1 second while I fix this situation right now. Okay, much better. Can actually see myself. But you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go live right now. I'm going to, if you got any questions, you know what I'm saying? You have any concerns, anything that you want to know, I'm going to open up the class to some questions right now. Going to open up the class to some questions. So any questions, type them on in. And in fact, type your name and where you at in. So, you know what I'm saying? We could recognize you. You know what I'm saying? So you can collect attendance if you're trying to be a trooper or a sister in the school. Put your name in your location in. Just city and state. You don't need no more than city and state. Don't try to put your full address. Put your city and state and we're gonna get it in. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it simple today. We're gonna keep it as milky as possible. Y'all want to get like the milk of the milk today. We're gonna keep it real simple. We're only going to be in one book today. We're going to be in one chapter today. That chapter is going to be Deuteronomy 28. We're going to try to get into the curses that were suffered upon our people through the mistakes and the error that we made as a people. We're going to talk about the history of it, and we're going to talk about how it is to this day. You know what I'm saying? You know, we got Black History coming up in a few days. Black History Month. Some people revere that because the white man allows you to observe your history within that day. But let me tell you something. Black history is in the Bible. The Bible is nothing but Black history. Deuteronomy 28 is like the epitome of Black history. So we're going to get it in. But if you got any questions, type them on in. Give y'all a second. No questions. Oh, so I guess y'all know the Bible then. I guess y'all know the Bible. All right. Well, let me type it in real quick. If y'all know everything, we're going to see if y'all know everything. We're going to see if y'all know everything of the Bible. We're going to get into it. Going to Deuteronomy 28. We're going to start off with the first verse. We're going to end off the last verse. Even though, granted, every time I did one of these curses classes, I never actually finished to the last verse. So I might skip a few every now and then. But all these curses that's in the Bible of Deuteronomy 28, all these curses affect the Black, Hispanic, and Native community to this day. As a whole, they only affect Black, Hispanic, and Native communities. Yeah, you may find a curse that, hey, this happens to this people, this happened to that. But no, as a whole, they only happen to a certain amount of people, and that's the Black, Hispanic, and Native community. And what we're about to do is show you how those curses prove we are the Israelites, how those curses are still going on today. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to get into it. So if you're there, or if you're not, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the curses of the Bible, on how the Black, Hispanic, and Native people are the true and chosen people of God according to the scriptures. So let's get with it. Deuteronomy 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Now listen to that. God's saying that if the Israelites observed and followed his commandments, which we know they did not do, we know that they built cattle of gold, and you know what I'm saying, they worship idols, they did a whole bunch of abominations, right? They did not follow his laws. But if they did, he would set them high above all other nations. That's segregation right there. That's showing you that God prefers a certain people over the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? Now, who are these people? Well, the curses are going to be able to identify these people because we know they did not follow those laws. They did not follow those commandments. So who are those people? Who are those people that the Bible's speaking of? Who are those people that God is talking to in Deuteronomy? That if they follow, they will be blessed in above all other nations. Above, better, superior to all other nations. Who would that be? Let's get with it. You know what I'm saying? Verse 2. We're going to get with verse 2 now. From between verse 2 and verse 14, those are the blessings of if they follow the law. These are the blessings of those people if they follow the law. Let's get with it. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. They should be blessed in the city and blessed in the field. Blessed in the city and blessed in the field. What does that mean? That means they should be doing good in the city and doing good in the field. What's the field? The field is where you work. The field is where you want to make money, grow things, possibly, like a farm or a boardroom. A boardroom is the field. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere where you work, anywhere where you put in some work to get some money. That's a field. And who is blessed in the field today? Who is blessed in the field today? Ask yourself that. Are black people blessed in the field? Black people definitely ain't blessed in the field. We're first fired, last hired. How about the Hispanic brothers and sisters? No, they ain't blessed in the field. They do all the field work and get the minimal amount of money. How about the Native people? The Native people ain't blessed in the field because all they do is you got them at their local liquor store drunk out of their mind. They don't even make it to the field. You know what I'm saying? Who's blessed in the city? Who owns the majority of the city? Of almost every city in America? Jewish or Asians? Sprinkle in some Italians and some Englishmen. It's definitely ain't Black, Hispanic, or natives. We barely own anything in the city. We barely own anything in the city. Guaranteed. So whoever is blessed in the city and blessed in the field, well, they don't follow the curses. You know what I'm saying? The Most High definitely not talking to them because we know that they did not follow the Most High's law, statutes, commandments. So the blessings only are for those, you know what I'm saying, who followed, and none of the Israelites followed. So let's continue. Verse 4. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and increase of thy kin, and the flocks of the sheep. Our kids ain't blessed with nothing. The fruit of our body ain't blessed with anything. Now, the fruit of your body could go twofold. You know what I'm saying? The fruit of your body can mean two things. The fruit of your body could definitely mean the kids that you produce, your children, Black, Hispanic, and Native children. They running out here wild. We bugging out in these streets. The fruit of our body is not very blessed right now. Or the fruit of your body can mean the work that you actually put in, the blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of brothers and sisters, a lot of Black, Hispanic, and Native sisters and brothers have plans of doing things. You know what I'm saying? They put in the work and it comes to naught. It comes to nothing. Through the systemic racism, through whatever, it comes to nothing. And why is that? Why is that? It's part of the curses. Part of the curses because we didn't follow the Most High's law, statutes, commandments. And that was happening, like, we're going to get to, but let's skip down to these curses real quick. Let's skip down to, let me type it in real quick. If you're on TikTok, you can find these scriptures on the YouTube or the Facebook. On YouTube, you could go to on YouTube, you could go to Boston No Cowards. On Facebook, we're I.S.U.P.K. Boston. You know what I'm saying? You can find all that out there. But we're going to Deuteronomy 28 and 15 now. You know what I'm saying? If you're with me, read along. But it shall come to pass. It shall come to pass. That means this is a guarantee. It shall come to pass. This is what's going to happen. If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, the Lord thy God. There's going to be a time where we are not listening to God. And that time came and passed, and that time we are living in today. This world is reckless. This world don't listen to the word of God. The word of God don't mean nothing. What means something to this world today is the law of man, the word of man. The word of man says homosexuality is lawful. So homosexuality just flourishes and thrives in this world that we live in today. This world, you know what I'm saying, says you only live once. You know what I'm saying? You got to do what you got to do. That's why drug dealing and prostitution and thrives in this world today. You know what I'm saying? That's why our sisters are on stripper poles, because the way of this world is against the word of God. So we're going to do what we got to do to live and so-called enjoy life to the best of our ability, which is also a part of the oppression system, because we don't really know what enjoying life is. We don't really know what enjoying life is. Oppression has us to the point that we are happy with the position we are as long as we get to do what we want. We're happy with being on the bottom. But we're going to get into that a little more, but let's continue. To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So check it out. If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native, and you If you're a black man sleeping with another black man's woman, hey, these curses are going to fall upon you. If you're a black woman eating crab, pork, shrimp, and lobster, hey, these curses are going to come upon you. God's laws is not a joke. And y'all might not understand it. Y'all might not understand the condition that we're in, but that's what this class is about. This class is to give you further understanding on why black people are going through the things that we are going through. We are going through the things that we are going through because we are not following God's laws. And we've been doing it all throughout history. Since the law was spoken by Moses, even though people had the law way before Moses. The law was around way before Moses, but when Moses written it down, gave them a hard copy to understand, we've been messing up since then. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. We went over this. We know who's cursed in the city. We know who's going through it in the city. We know who's the number one killed in the city. Who's going through all types of wars and everything. Who the cop is shooting in the back unarmed. Who's being tortured. Women are being kidnapped. Kids are being murdered. Who's tortured in the city? Who's cursed in the city? Nobody else is going through what Black, Hispanic, and Natives are going through. Natives are the number one to be killed by police officers. Nobody is killed by police officers more than Native Hispanics. More than Native brothers. You know what I'm saying? Hispanics and Blacks killed by police officers for what? For nothing. Then the police officer gets to go off. That is cursed in the city. That is purely cursed in the city. No other way you could explain that. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And cursed in the field. Who first fired, last hired? You know what I'm saying? Who is actually training their supervisor? Black people are always the ones that are training their supervisors or their replacements. Cursed in the field. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's bad enough. Is the average black person can't keep a job for more than 2 years. Can't keep a job for more than 2 years. It's hard. If you do, Most High in Christ. But you're a rarity. You're a rarity. Black people are not exiting off of retirement. They don't have a retirement plan off of these jobs. These jobs ain't keeping black people. They will find a way to fire them. But let's continue. Verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. What does that mean? Ask yourself, what's a basket? If you know what a basket is, type it in. If you know what a basket is, type it in. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. What does that mean? The Israelites' baskets in their store shall be cursed. Last time I checked, Jewish people are running almost everything. You know what I'm saying? The film Hollywood, they run Hollywood. The Diamond District, all their diamond and jewelry stores, they run. You know what I'm saying? Their stores are not cursed. They're baskets, which could be where you store your goods. You store and carry your goods in a basket. So what is a modern day basket? What's a modern day basket? Your wallet, your bank account. Your modern day basket is empty, black man. Your modern day basket is empty, Hispanic man. It's empty because we did not follow God's laws. We did not stick together to this day. We rather love our enemy. That's what Black history is all about. Black History Month is all about them teaching us what they've done to us and for us to get over it and love them. Well, us in the I.S.U.P.K, we are teaching you the exact opposite. We're going to teach you your history and tell you to hate your enemy. We're going to tell you to get over nothing. If you stub your toe, blame your enemy. You know what I'm saying? If you got a hangnail, blame your enemy. The ozone layer, blame your enemy, because everything, there's evidence to point back to them on everything. So your basket in your store, guess what? It's all because you did not follow the laws of God, and the people who perpetrate it and make it harder for you is your enemy. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Let's go to verse 18. Verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. No matter if we're coming or going. Black, Hispanic, and Native, no matter if we're coming and going, things are fucked up. Messed up. Salaki for my language. Things are messed up, coming or going. We are running around like a chicken with our head up cut off. You know what I'm saying? Especially around this time of the year, after y'all spent so much money on Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. Y'all spent all this money. Now y'all running back and forth just to get the bills paid and try to come up with some crumbs to celebrate Valentine's Day. And all those days are against God's laws. So you're going to keep on going through that pain as long as you keep on celebrating those holidays. You're going to keep on suffering that anguish as long as you keep on going through those holidays. You don't know if you're coming or going. No matter what you do, it's going to come to nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come to naught because the simple fact is you are not following God's laws. And it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. It's not a difficult thing to follow God's laws. You know what I'm saying? He's saying don't eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. Don't do it. God say don't mingle and have relationships with the other nations. Don't do it. It's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? Especially as black men, man, we got so many people in our nation. We got Black, Hispanic, and Native people. We got choices. We got options. And we got nothing but beautiful women. We have no reason to be going outside of our nation to be with anybody. None. You know what I'm saying? None at all. But let's get with it. Let's go to let's drop down to verse let's start with 21. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee. What does that mean? The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee. What does that mean? The pestilence shall cleave unto thee. Let me tell you how the pestilence shall cleave unto thee. Remember in the beginning of 2020 and around January, February, March, COVID was running rampant across the world, and black people was, we're kind of bragging a bit. We're like, hey, we ain't catching it. We ain't catching it. We were bragging a bit. Next thing you know, we are the number one in COVID. Because we are not following his law, statutes, and commandments. We ain't crab, pork, shrimp, and lobster. Remember, COVID started off of people eating things that are not clean. By people eating things that God said don't eat, that's what started COVID. Well, they ate the pangolin and some bats. They ate the pangolin and some bats. And that's what caused COVID. Now, the question is, right? The thing is, how do you make sure that you're not going to become a victim of that curse? How are you going to make sure the pestilence does not cleave unto thee? By following God's laws. Stop eating that crab, pork, shrimp, and lobster. Stop chilling around these heathens who will cough on their hand and shake your hand 10 seconds later. You know they don't wash their hands when they leave the bathroom. You know they don't. You know Asian people will eat any and everything. They will eat, and they have no dietary standard at all. But you want to be around them. You want to be like Dave Chappelle and marry one of them. That's how we end up sick. That's how we end up weak, because we're not dependent and loving each other. You know what I'm saying? And if you got any questions, on TikTok, you know what I'm saying? I know this TikTok thing is scrolling. Let me see if I got any questions on the backup. No, just a bunch of nuts on TikTok. Just a bunch of nuts on TikTok. No new questions. If you have any questions, just type them on in. You know what I'm saying? I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer them, well, guess what? I know somebody that can. At least I'll be man enough to say I don't know the answer. And I'll go to somebody who can answer it, who will give me the answer, and I'll relay it back to you. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it. Like back in the day, we had smallpox that consumed us, almost took all the native brothers out, took a lot of blacks and Hispanics out. You know what I'm saying? And today we got AIDS, we got gout, high blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? High cholesterol. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole bunch of pestilences, whole bunch of sicknesses that blacks and Hispanics are number 1 or 2 in. When it comes to everything negative on the health, black people are number 1 or 2 in, unless it's a genetic issue. But when it comes to the health, blacks and Hispanics are number 1 or 2. And they don't really count the native brothers because the native brothers don't really go to the hospital. They can't afford it. So they'd rather die with no diagnosis or anything. And a lot of us blacks would rather die with no diagnosis, so those numbers on us ain't even full either. You know what I'm saying? So those pestilences are on us because we ain't following those laws. Just get to following these laws, man. You follow these laws, you're better off. All right, let's get with it. Get with verse 22. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with the fever, and with the inflammation, and with the extreme burning, and with the sword, and with the blastings, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. We are the highest in disease and in violence. The consumption is the fire. You know what I'm saying? Like STDs, you know, if you had an STD, from what I hear, that burn is no joke. That burning is something that you won't forget. You know what I'm saying? You feel those things, those burnings. You know what I'm saying? And not just that, by the sword too. What's a modern day sword? The modern day sword is a gun. What's a modern day sword? Well, less modern, a whip. A whip. A lasso. A truck. Tar and feathering. You know what I'm saying? They have many ways to kill us, man. And we're not helping our cause by following their customs. We're not helping our cause by following their laws. What we need to do is get on our own BI. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to do, is get on our own BI and start following our laws, statutes, and commandments. Verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thy feet shall be iron. That's a little meaty. You know what I'm saying? But let's skip down to verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. We are smitten before our enemies. Everybody sees us dying. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 24. Verse 25. We are smitten before our enemies. How many white people do you see getting murdered by police or murdered by anybody live on Facebook, Instagram, you know what I'm saying, TikTok, whatever? How many people you see going through that live? It's mostly, you get a couple white, Caucasian, you get a, few of them here now and then, but it's mostly black, Hispanics, and natives. Mostly black, Hispanic, and natives whose death is entertainment, and that's nothing new. That's nothing new. If you see my class last Monday, there was a brother who was hung for the accusation of killing a man and raping his wife. He was hung, burnt alive, bones and flesh ripped apart, kept as souvenirs by over 2,000 Caucasians. His death was a spectacle, just to find out he didn't do it. Just to find out he didn't do it. So them making our death spectacles is nothing new. Our lynchings are drawn, you know, I don't know if y'all know what drawn quartering, but they will have each of your limbs connected to a horse, and the horses will run in different directions till your body is ripped apart. They did that to us, and it was entertainment. And you could go back further than that. You could go back further than that. You know how far back you go? You go back to the Roman period and the Greek period, where they were like, if you go in the Apocrypha, in the book of Maccabees, there was a mother and her sons. You know what I'm saying? A mother and her sons who they were trying to force to eat pork. Because us breaking God's laws is entertainment to them. That's why they love our women twerking on TV. That's why they love all the drug dealing, all the tough talk, all those type of movies, because they love us breaking God's laws. So that was entertainment for them, but this mother and her sons refused to eat pork. They'd rather die than eat pork. Unlike Muslims who say it's okay, if you need to eat pork, go ahead, eat it. But in Israel, you better die before you eat that. You know what I'm saying? You better die. And this mother and her sons were tortured in front of masses, in front of many people, tortured and killed and cooked on top of that, and cooked in front of masses of people. They enjoy our death. It's entertainment to them to this day. What happened to Philandro Castile, happened to, you know what I'm saying, Ahmaud Arbery, you know what I'm saying, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, you know what I'm saying, Sandra Bland, Vanessa wasn't killed live. But you know what I'm saying, all that is entertainment to them. They love hearing about how Black, Hispanic, and Natives are dying. We are a spectacle to our enemies. Our enemies love seeing that. But let's continue. Thou shalt go out one way against them. You're going to go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. Everything we try, everything we have tried to this day, we have tried loving them. All that does is make us run from them. They don't care about us loving them. We had tried living their way of life. Hell, we even tried picking up guns to them. We had the Black Panther movement. What happened with that? We tried picking up guns, which made no sense. We buy guns, they make them. Picking up guns against them is about as retarded as it gets. We tried everything. But the only thing we didn't try is God's law, statutes, and commandments. That's the only thing we didn't try. We didn't try following his laws. We tried everything from love to hate, from violence to turning the other cheek, according to Martin Luther King. We have tried everything. And all we do is get smacked up and beat up on and have their knee further on our neck. So what's the solution? Well, let me tell you what the solution is. The solution is following God's laws and separating ourselves from them. Yes, segregation. Yeah, it'll be rough. But if you remember when segregation was first going on during the Jim Crow era, guess what? We were flourishing. Till Martin Luther King came about and told us to give our money to them instead of giving it to each other like we were doing, which made us grow. It took forever for a black dollar to get out of a black community. Now a black dollar can't even stay in a black community because we love our enemy. And we got to stop doing that. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Because of that, we are scattered everywhere. Black, Hispanics, and Native people, we are scattered everywhere, and we don't even know who we are. We don't know who our brothers are. We don't know who our enemies. We don't know who our friends. You know what I'm saying? Black people, we had this group called the Buffalo Soldiers. The Buffalo Soldiers were a bunch of, how may I say it? A bunch of traitors. Bunch of traitors, because they ignorantly didn't know that the Native brothers were their brothers. They didn't know that natives were their brothers, so they worked for the U.S. government to help get rid of natives. It was a disgusting thing. Disgusting thing. Who is this enemy? China. This man in TikTok wants to know, who is this enemy. Let me tell you who this enemy. If you're not Black, if you're not Hispanic, and if you're not Native, you are the enemy of Black, Hispanic, and Natives. That means if you are Caucasian, if you are Asian, if you are East Indian, even if you are African, you are the enemy of Black, Hispanics, and Natives. When did you get out again, bro? I don't know. TikTok stay locking me up. I guess you're referring to TikTok, right? Prior to the 7th century, Black people regarded very highly in Europe. That's true, because know why? We was running Europe then. Around the 7th century, Black people were running Europe. You know what I'm saying? What you're saying is not wrong. We were running Europe back then. You know what I'm saying? But you know, our enemy is the devil that the Bible speaks of. So he's going to hide all that history through some whitewashing. He's going to whitewash all that. But let's continue. Verse 26. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Let me tell you something. This is a little meatier, but it's not so meaty that y'all choke on it. It's saying that our carcass, after we are beaten and destroyed, guess what? The fowl of the air and the beasts of the field will still be eaten off of us. Now you got to understand. Yeah, you see that sign in the back? Am I a Hebrew Israelite? I am a priest and officer of the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. And what this verse is saying right here, verse 26, our carcass, when we are beaten and destroyed to there's barely any life in us like there is now. There's barely any life in the Black, Hispanic, and Native community. These fowl in the air and these beasts of the field, that's talking about other nations. They still will be eaten off of us. We about as poor can get. And guess what? They still setting up their shops in our neighborhood. Because the little bit of we got, they will take. You got these Asian restaurants making $2, $3 plates because they want our last $2 or $3. They want our last $2 or $3. Instead of us linking together with our last $2 or $3 and buying some food and cooking it for each other and having a good meal, no, we'd rather be individuals and use that $2 or $3 to buy a pigeon plate. You know what I'm saying? Some little rat food young. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if you're eating cat, rat, dog, or bat. You don't know what you're eating in these $2 or $3 Chinese restaurants. But they are picking off our carcass. They want the last of us, the last little bit of us. You know what I'm saying? Whatever little bit of morality you got, they're going to try to suck it up out of you. The good black, Hispanic, and Native brothers, they are either locked up in jail. They are plucking us dry, man. They are devouring our carcasses, man. That's what they're doing. This man said, why don't you check your DNA first before you claim to be black? For one, black is just a color. There's no nation that's called the land of black. There's no people, no paternal man that's named black. None of that. Black is just a term that's commonly used for Negroes who have suffered slavery. You know what I'm saying? Africans don't even call themselves black. You know what I'm saying? So you want me to check? Guess what? I had a DNA test before, and guess what? Through my ignorance, I didn't know that DNA tests were BS. It's not a finite science. It's not finalized. It's not perfected. You got twins coming out with different DNA tests. Triplets one time. How are triplets coming out with different DNA results? Because the test is not accurate. And I ain't talking about fraternal twins. I'm talking about identical, whose DNA should be, guess what? Identical. With probably some minor differences. DNA testing is not accurate. It's not something that you should stand on. Because guess what? They don't even stand on it themselves. It's only the excitement of black people actually getting to know where they come from is why black people even stand on it, but it's not accurate. It's not accurate at all. You know what I'm saying? You proud to be black, but black is just a color. And I understand. I use black a lot too. But truth is, I'm proud to be a Negro. I'm proud to be a Judite. I'm proud to be black too. But the problem is, black means more than one thing. You know what I'm saying? Black don't mean dark skin. Black don't mean melanated. No, black means people who are lost, suffering from identity crisis due to the transatlantic and the trans-Saharan slave trade. That's what black is. Africans ain't black. You know what I'm saying? Aboriginal Australians ain't black. Samoans and Hawaiians aren't black. Only people are black are those who suffer that. And not a lot of people suffer that. To this day, we don't know who we are. We don't know the food that we ate. What was the food that we ate before slavery? What was the language we spoke? What was our names? We still suffering. We still have Caucasian names or Spaniard names or Portuguese names or French names. We don't have our names. Everybody else got their identity. Everybody else got their culture. And that's what it means to be black, because that culture and identity is blacked out from our knowledge. Remember, the Bible says, my people suffer from a lack of knowledge. So that's further proof how we're God's people, because nobody else suffer from that type of lack of knowledge. And what knowledge is more important than your identity as a people? There's no knowledge more important. You can't diss Africans. It is because we fought for you got your civil rights. None of that made sense. You might want to retype that. Most of your ancestors come from West Africa, Ivory Coast. Not true. Some slaves were even taken as far south as South Africa. Do your research. Slaves wasn't only taken from West Africa. They were taken as far as South Africa and some in the Middle Africa, as deep as Nigeria, as deep as it goes deep. Majority, but not all. You got to understand the diaspora. We had two diasporas. We had that Atlantic slave trade diaspora, but there was one before that. We had the diaspora where the Romans in 70 AD, the Romans attacked Israel. And then we scattered for our lives, you know what I'm saying, through parts of Asia, through parts of Europe, but over 1 million of us, over 1 million Israelites scattered into Africa in multiple directions. Even the scriptures say we are scattered throughout the world. So no, we are not Africans. Africans are Hamites. We are Shemites. There's a difference between us, and you know it when you hang around an African. Africans don't even got that same flavor. They don't got that same feel. You're not as comfortable around it as you are with Tyrone and Dante. It's not the same comfort. Steak tacos are dope, though. You ain't lying. But let's continue. Let's continue. Verse 27. If the Lord would smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and the emeralds, and the scab, and with the itch whereof thou canst not be healed. All the curses and stuff that went upon Israel when we was in Israel captivity, well, those things are going on today. This is the same as the verses I read before, where all the sicknesses being thrown upon us. All those sicknesses being wailed on us. You know what I'm saying? This is something that happened to Israel because Israel did not follow God's laws. Some of the healthiest people in the world, besides their rabbis, you know what I'm saying, giving the babies head and passing herpes to the babies, those Jewish people, they're pretty healthy. They're pretty healthy. We are number one in every negative health prospect, and we are not the majority of this country. How are we number one in everything? That shows you the difference in our health situations. That shows you the difference. There's heavy differences. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And the Lord will smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. What does that mean? Madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. For one, when it comes to mental illness, Black people do not go to no therapist about it, so you can't go to statistics to actually weigh what it is. But you could walk the streets and you could see a Black man talking to himself down the street in every hood, every ghetto. It's not even hard to find. It's something that you could put on your what-to-do list. If you visit a hood, you're going to see a Black, Hispanic, or Native man walking down the street talking to himself. You're going to see a Black or Hispanic or Native sister running around naked, high off of whatever. You're going to see all types of mental illnesses, from bipolar all the way down to schizophrenia. Black people suffer from mental illnesses more than any other people. And the thing is, we don't get help at all. We suffer from depression like nobody else, and we don't get help at all. You know what I'm saying? I had a niece who seen a female commit suicide from the window of her projects and land right in front of my niece. You think my niece is sane after that? Think she don't have no PTSD? She got PTSD. All Black people have PTSD. We all seen something traumatic that messed up our heads. We all have relationships with our parents or with other people that mentally messed us up. So we are smitten with madness. We are smitten with astonishment of heart. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. What does that mean? For one, let's understand what groping is. Groping is not necessarily a man filling up on a woman, but it is feeling. You are reaching out to feel something. You are looking to feel something. That's what groping is. You're trying to feel something. And we're groping in noonday, when the sun is at its highest and brightest. But we're doing it like a blind man that gropeth in the darkness. He will not get what he's reaching for. And that's what we are doing. Every time we are up there marching, we shall overcome, no justice, no peace. We are reaching for something that we are never going to get. We are like a blind man in darkness, reaching for something that is not within our grasp. That's why the scriptures say that we are searching for vain help from a nation that will not help us. We're suffering, you know what I'm saying? We want help from a people that will not help us. We are reaching for some help that is not going to help us. Now, why? Because we're not going to the help that is supposed to help us. We're not going to the person that is supposed to help us. Who is that person that's supposed to help us? The Most High. How do we go to the Most High for help? We go to the Most High for help by going to each other. That's how we go to the Most High for help, by going to each other. If we're not going to each other, what sense does it make going to a group of people that throughout history has shown us nothing but hatred? Everything we reach for turns to naught. You know what I'm saying? We asked for cheaper housing back in the 60s and 70s. And look what they gave us. They gave us projects. And what happens in these projects? Black on black crime and police brutality. See, we don't even know what we're asking for. We don't even know what we're asking for. But we're reaching for something in this darkness. You know what I'm saying? No, we're reaching something in this light. We could see, we know what we want, but we're reaching for it. But guess what? It's like a blind man reaching in the darkness. We don't know what we're asking for. We don't know what we're going to get. We ask for equal employment opportunity. We ask just for a shot to be viewed as equal, what they call it, candidates. We wanted to be equal candidates to our enemy. And guess what? That affects everybody else but us. East Indians are benefiting off of that more than us. Everybody benefits off of equal employment opportunity more than black people. We ask for welfare, government assistance. And guess what? That affects everybody but us. You know what I'm saying? The so-called Jewish man and a Jewish woman, they are number one in welfare. And they are some of the richest people in the world. Why are they on welfare? You know why? Because they got somebody in the system that would just give it to them. They don't even got to wait in line. They just got to make a phone call. That's what we're dealing with. That's the problems that we got to deal with as a people. You know what I'm saying? We groping for things that just ain't right. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. Nothing's going to benefit us. None of these things that we're reaching for is going to benefit us. We're not going to prosper in it. All these things we've been asking for, the right to vote, this, that, equal, all that stuff, it's not going to benefit us, especially voting. Black, Hispanic, and Native people should not be voting, period. It is not beneficial to us. You know what I'm saying? But we're reaching for that to this day. We've been reaching for that. Like, we had the right to vote back in the 1800s during the Reconstruction era. We had the right to vote. What happened in the 60s was a protection for us to vote. It wasn't giving us the right to vote. It was a protection for us to vote. We already had the right. And now y'all doing the same thing. When y'all going to learn? They don't want it. They don't want to give it to us. When y'all going to learn that? At some point, we got to understand that it's not for us. And be cool with it. Come together. You know what I'm saying? We want to sit at their table when we should be making our own table. That's why the whole world don't respect us. The whole world don't respect us because we don't have a table. We're begging our enemies for a seat at his table. Why you think what happened to Sonny Wims is a common thing? You do your best to entertain them. Next thing you know, they calling you all types of N-words and giving you the FUs and kicking you out. Want to kick you out their country, even though you're there to entertain them. Because we're not going to prosper if we link up with them. There's no prospering us begging them for anything. All of the things that we are reaching for with them it's going to come to naught. But let's continue. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. See, that's what it is. We're going to be oppressed evermore, and nobody's going to save us. Nobody's going to save us, man. There's no saving with that. We're going to be going through it. You know what I'm saying? Everything that we're asking for just kicks us further underneath their heels. Everything. What do you think the right to vote is? Think about it for a sec. Why are you voting? Think about it. Why are you voting? What are you voting for? Let me tell you what you're voting for. You're voting for a candidate to help you and your people's interests. That's what you're voting for. Who are these candidates that you're hoping to fix you and your people's interests and problems? It's usually somebody that's not interested in fixing you or your people's problems. And even if you vote for a so-called African-American or Hispanic candidate, guess what? They are in the pockets of our enemies. They have no interest in fixing Black or Hispanic issues. You think Obama's not Black? He's African. He proved he don't care about Black issues. And his wife right by his side, not caring about Black issues. You think any other Black candidate is going to care about Black issues? Not one. Not one. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife. What does it mean to betroth a wife? That means you are promised. You're spitting game. You're talking to a chick. You're engaged, kind of. You know what I'm saying? That's your woman. You betroth a wife, right? You're spitting game to her. And this is a common thing. You should understand how this fits in history and till today, too. This is an easy one to understand. But let's continue. And another man shall lie with her. You're spitting game. You're hollering at this chick. This is your woman. And another man shall lie with her. What does that mean? What does that have to do with history? Well, you know, back in the day during slavery, man, the slave master constantly raped our women. A lot of times forcing a Black man to watch it, to emasculate that man, to ruin their relationship. Sometimes he would split that marriage up and sell the woman and the man to different plantations. And that woman will be raped by another man then. Till this day. You may betroth a woman. She may be your woman and all. But let a rich white man shove a couple of dollar bills in her face. Like my brother Rakabi said, $40 is $40 is $40. You know what I'm saying? Before it was forced on them, now it's forced on them through a financial standard. They forced the Black man out of the house through welfare reform. Now they're going to force our women to lower their morals just so they could get by. Just so they could get by. You may think that's your woman, you're talking to her. But next thing you know, she got her OnlyFans. And she's having meetups. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to look forward to. You may betroth a wife, but another man shall lie with her. That curse is the same as it was then as it is now. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. You could build a house, but guess what? You built that house, you with her, you got kids, and guess what? She could kick you out. She could legally kick you out. Yeah, you got some defenses through, mail. I got mail there, but guess what? Do you really want the headache of going to jail over her mouth or dealing with it? You know what I'm saying? Just for her to get a welfare check, you can't even exist. It's bad enough you built a house and you're not even on the lease. You're not even on the lease. because she got a way to hustle the government, which just all fails. That's a curse of God. Only Black, Hispanics, and Natives are going through this. Only we are. Only we fit all these curses at one time. Hold on, I see we got some questions here. Why do we read from the Apocrypha? Because the Apocrypha is a part of the Bible, but I'm not reading from it today. What happens when one dies? What is your belief of afterlife? Well, that's a little meaty of a subject, but let me summarize it up for you. When we die, our spirit goes up for a little bit of time, then we come back down into a whole new body. It's what you may call regeneration or reincarnation. We don't have no remembrance of our former lives or nothing like that. We're just born back into our families. That's why when a child is born, you be like, that child reminds me of Uncle Junebug or Nana, whoever. You know what I'm saying? Because our spirits are regenerated back into our people. It doesn't make sense for a spirit of a Black man to end up regenerated into an Asian. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So you are part Hindu? Nah. Hindu's full of homosexuality. I'm good. Well, let's continue. And thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Okay, we shall plant a vineyard and not gather the grapes thereof. What does that mean? A vineyard, you grow grapes, you're growing a product, you're growing a resource. You can sell that resource and make money off of it. All right, so you make a resource and you can't make money off of it. What does that sound like? That sounds like the U.S. Patent Office. Black, Hispanic, and Natives have invented a lot of things that made this country to as great as it is today. We have built a lot of things, a lot of beautiful things. We have built a beautiful vineyard called the United States of America. And guess what? We don't gather the grapes of that. We're not benefiting off of it. We're not eating from the fruits of that vineyard. We're at the bottom of this country, no matter what we invented. You know what I'm saying? A Black man made Jack Daniel's whiskey. Jack Daniels stole that whiskey from a Black man. And guess what? It's not a Black man's name on that bottle. So a Black man had to find that original recipe and make a whole new label and name it after the brother who made the recipe, called Uncle Nearest. So yes, buy Uncle Nearest whiskey. It's Black owned. And that's the original Jack Daniel's recipe that he stole from Uncle Nearest. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue. Verse 31. Now let's skip down to verse 32. Let's skip down to verse 32. Thy son and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another people. Let me show y'all something on the screen. If you're on Facebook and Twitter and that's the wrong button. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, let me show you something on the screen. You see that? Our sons, our daughters were given unto another people. They literally they would strip a nursing baby from their mother's, breast. Strip a nursing baby from mother's breast and sell that baby. These are savage, gruesome people we are talking about. They will literally do the worst to us. And they wonder why the Black family is not so strong today, because of stuff like this. They will literally do that to us and wonder why our family structure is so messed up. Since slavery, y'all was separating us. Y'all separate the man from the woman. Y'all separate the children from the parents. That's what they did. But let's continue. And we'll start from the top of that verse. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them. Just like they was stripping us from our children back then, they're doing it now. They're doing it now. They're doing it today. You leave your kids in the car while you go into the store to buy an iced tea, guess what? DYS is at your front door. Well, I seen a video today of a little kid with a helmet on. A little Caucasian kid with a helmet on doing some WPS, some white people stuff, and wanted to go head-to-head with the Ram. And the parents were there recording it and let him do it. I bet you Child Protective Services is not at their door. But they'll be at our door splitting our families up. They've been doing it since the 70s. If a man was living in the house while she was receiving welfare, there's a chance that the children would get taken away. They look for any excuse to take our children away from us. Any excuse. You know what I'm saying? They kicked the man out the house. Now the woman got to get a job, and now the kids are left alone. How that's going to work? And she got to work. Working for 8 hours. School is only for 6. School is only 6 hours. Let her come a little 5-10 minutes late after her kids show up home. Those kids are getting taken away. We're dealing with some real devious people. Some real evil people. You know what I'm saying? Just like it was then, it's just like it is now. Looking for any excuse to strip us from them. Any. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them, man. Just like it was back then when they stripped our kids from us. Like the woman would struggle to give that kid while they ripping the kid out of the mother's hands. She was struggling while the kid, all she's walking the plantation now crazy because all she wants is to see her kid. And it's the same thing now. These women are going in and out of family court, and the courts is refusing to let them have their kids back. Through the oppression, even through the oppression and all that, the mother may end up in drugs. She struggled to get herself cleaned up. She fighting to get her kids back. She can't. Her eyes are filling with longing. You know what I'm saying? She wants her kids back, but it's not going to happen. But let's continue. And there shall be no might in thy hand. There's nothing that you can do about it. Our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's what he does. You could do all this fighting. You could do all this court stuff. You could do everything. But it's going to be to naught. It's going to be to naught. It's best to play by their book. You got a better chance by playing by their book. I understand your kids were unjustly taken away from you, but guess what? Play by their book, because anything else will make it worse for you. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Let's continue. Let's drop down to let's go to verse 36. Let's go to 36. All right. I'm pretty sure y'all dropped down by then. Let's read it. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. That's crazy right there. Oh, and I forgot to you. Technically, if you're an Israelite, you're not black. I was trying to tell you that. You keep on focusing on it. I understand black is not a real thing, but I'm speaking plainly so everybody can understand us. If I said you were a Judite, who will understand that? If I said you're an I.S.U.P.K, who will understand that? So I got to speak plainly. God is not a racist. Oh, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that's a whole nother subject. But I tell you, God got a special and chosen people. And if that doesn't seem like he's picking certain people over the rest, I don't know what does. But let's go. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee. See, the Most High is going to bring us and our leader, the one that we pick as our leaders. Who do we pick as our leaders? Who do we pick as our leaders? Who's the leader of Black, Hispanic, and Native people? Unanimously. Who we all unanimously view as our leaders. Let me tell you, it's our clergymen. We look at our clergymen and our politicians and our civil service workers as our leaders. We look at them as our leaders of the Black community. You know what I'm saying? The politicians, the clergymen, especially the clergymen. We look at them as our morale, our ruler, our standard of morale in our community, which is a horrible, horrible ruler. That's not a very long ruler right there. They're as short as can be. But we look at them as our ruler. But let's continue. They are our kings. He's going to give, thou shalt bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. That's talking about our enemies. Us and our leaders are brought to our enemies, which are the Caucasians, the Asians, the Africans, blah, blah. Our forefathers didn't regard any of these other nations. They didn't know them. They didn't chill with them. Remember, Israelites are supposed to be separate from all other nations. So our ancestors didn't know them. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And thou shalt serve other gods. And while we're in the possession of our enemies, guess what? We're going to serve other gods. We ain't going to serve the God of Israel. We're going to serve the God of wood and stone. Who's the God of wood and stone? Who are the two biggest religions of Black, Hispanics, and Natives? Let me tell you. It's Christianity, a.k.a. Catholicism. And, you know, they got that wooden cross that they all bear upon their neck with some white dude on it. You know what I'm saying? They got a cross with some homosexual dude half naked on the cross. And then we got the stone, which is Islam, the other big religion amongst Black, Hispanics, and Natives, who circle and kiss this, who circle this stone a million miles and bow down when they finally get to it and they kiss the stone that thousands of other people has kissed, got their saliva on it. That is homosexual and sickening. Surprised y'all ain't catching herpes and all types of other diseases. That's how COVID definitely going to spread. Because y'all want to circle that Kaaba stone. So we're serving other gods of wood and stone. Look at Buddha. Buddha's made of a fat dude made of metal. Some fat statue made of metal. Black people are picking up on Buddhist ideology quite quickly now. We're serving other gods of wood and stone. We're not serving the gods of our Father, which is a segregationist, which is a separatist, which only loves Black, Hispanic, and Native people. He don't love nobody else. We can get into that subject after this class. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment. And us Black, Hispanics, and Natives should become an astonishment. We are an amazing sight to see. How can a people so lowly, so beaten down, so still be surviving? It's an astonishment. A proverb and a byword. What is a proverb and a byword? Hold on. Among all nations. Let me tell you what a proverb and a byword is. Is somebody calling you by something that you're not. Technically, being called black is a proverb and a byword. Negro, nigga. We are Israelites. We are people. We are God's chosen people. But we are called everything else. We are called Haitian. We are called Guatemalan. We are called Mexicans, Hispanics, Spanish. We are called, you know what I'm saying, Creole. We are called Caribbean, West Indian. We are called everything but what we are. We are called black, brown, red. We are called everything. Don't let me get into the derogatory terms. Whoo. We got derogatory terms like crazy. African American. How are we African American? That's two different countries. I mean, that's two different places. African's a continent. America is like 3 countries. So that's a continent too. So two different continents. So how are we 2 different continents? Where is our home? We have no home till we start following God's law, statutes, and commandments. And that's when we'll have a home. That's when we be good. That's when we be set. You know what I'm saying? Among all the nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. So no matter where we go, all nations look down on us and they call us all types of things. You see what happened to Wims? Sonny Wims is in the middle of China being called the N-word. You probably thinking you're going to leave America. You probably won't ever hear that word ever again. Nah, you'll hear it. They're cats thinking they're going to pack up and go to Israel. As if Israel ain't being ran by some oppressor right now. Now, for you to become an Israeli citizen, because you're already an Israelite, but before you become an Israeli citizen, you have to join their military and oppress a people that is none of your business. You got to help your enemy oppress a people that is none of your business. Their fight is not our business. But for you to get back in your land, you got to please your master. You see how it goes? Verse 38. Now let's skip that. Now we can read it. Let's read it. It's a quick one. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. That goes back to the patent office too. That goes to a lot of things. We put in a lot of work, working this 9 to 5, putting in 40 hours or more. But the locusts are gathering it up. You see all these taxes. We got things. What is a FICA? I don't even know what FICA is. They're taking out all types of things out of our check. IRS is the locust. They just sucking us dry. And not just that, then we're going to have to pay child support. Then we're going to have to do all this, all that. Even with child support, baby mama, I'm still going to be in your face asking for more money. You know what I'm saying? The locusts are going to suck your check dry. You ain't going to come back with nothing. You wonder why black men are so homeless. The locusts are taking them checks. We out here poor. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Let's drop down to let's drop down to let's go to 41 to reiterate on another verse. 41, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Your sons, like I said, they used to strip the baby straight from the mother's arms. And believe me, these foster homes, that's an oppressive place for children. There's a lot of oppression with foster homes. A lot of foster homes ain't doing it for the love of the child. They're doing it for the love of the dollar. The child is virtually a slave. They got to do all this cleaning and and they don't get nothing out of it. That check that they getting is supposed to help benefit the child, but it doesn't. A lot of these foster kids are just angry. They go, especially the group home ones. The ones in the group home, that is captivity. Because it's hard enough that the parents can't even get them out. A lot of them go to work for the state. I don't know jail type stuff, but most likely they end up doing something that helps benefit the state. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Let's go jump down to verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Like, this is something that we got to understand. That's why it's so important to separate from our enemies. Because when we are amongst them, they are put on a pedestal when they are amongst us. Let's look at Elvis. Elvis was put amongst a pedestal. Everything Elvis knew was black. He stole everything from us. Eminem stole everything from us. You know what I'm saying? Every white dude that hangs around black dudes, next thing you know, he got 1 million black women around him. Because we letting them around us, they start stealing our swag and everybody, because they love their oppressor, they put him on a higher plateau. They put him at a higher standard than what he should be. But not just like that, just at the work. No, just period, man. Even when you're doing dirt, don't have them around you, because most likely they're going to rat you out anyway. Just so they could get off. They get off with complete immunity when they rat. When you rat, you got to do 2-3 years, which just displays how much you ratted. It's better not to be around them or no walk of life. No walk of life, period. No matter what you're doing, just stay away from them. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. We always borrowing from them, but they can't borrow from us because we have nothing to give. You could thank Martin Luther King for that, because once upon a time, there was many black-owned banks. Now there's only, what, like 1 or 2, maybe 3? 3 black banks at the most. And they're hard to come about. You're hard to find them. You know what I'm saying? He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. He's above us. We're at the bottom. He's above us. Our enemy is literally above us right now. We got to go to him for everything. For literally everything. Let's drop down a bit. For the sake of time. I see time's running out a bit. Drop down to verse 47. No, drop down to 46, verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder. It's talking about the curses. The curses shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. See, that's how you know who. Like when you look at a sign, like, you know what I'm saying? You driving down the street and your kids see that McDonald's sign, guess what? They know that the McDonald's is nearby. That's what these curses are. These curses are a sign and a wonder. You see people suffering these curses, guess what? You know that they're the Jews. You know that they are the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. The Most High sent these enemies against us because the simple fact is we wasn't following his law, statutes, and commandments. We wasn't following his orders. But make it clear, he lets it be known that they are our enemies. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to read that again from the top. Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, Everything we eat from them. Our food is coming from our enemies. You know what I'm saying? From a resource level, like who owns these chicken farms and these, you know what I'm saying, these cow farms, and who owns the produce and the poultry and the seafood? Who owns these farms that produce these foods? It's not Black, Hispanic, and Natives. I mean, I have seen some Black farms every now and then, but they ain't producing on the level that our enemy is. The majority of the stuff that you see in the supermarket or that you buy from a fast food restaurant, henceforth and so on, guess what? Those are coming from our enemy, not our people. So, no. Most of our stuff is coming from our enemy. Any food we want is coming from our enemies. You go to McDonald's, our enemies. You go to a Black restaurant, a Black-owned restaurant. Guess where that food's coming from? All the Black restaurant did was cook it. But the food came from our oppressor, came from our enemy. But let's continue. And in thirst, man, we got to, if it's not just the faucet water, you got to pay a water bill, right? But not just that. Barely anybody drinks faucet water nowadays. They're drinking bottled water. Who's producing the bottled water? You want some soda, who produces that? You want some juice, who's producing that? Anything that you thirst for, you got to go to our enemies for. Who else is doing that? What other nation of people is doing that? What other nation of people don't have any resources, but they got to go to the enemy for everything? That's only Black, Hispanic, and Native people. That's it. Nobody else is doing that. But let's continue. And in nakedness. So our clothes, who's our clothes coming from? Even if you're wearing a Black-owned fashion line, there's no Black-owned textile plants. So the fabric ain't coming from the Black people. Without that fabric that they got from our oppressor, they wouldn't be able to have a fashion line. The fashion line is just a label, but the clothes are actually coming from our oppressor. And then we go to their stores to buy it. Not many Black retail stores. I don't know any. You know, a Black retail store, type it in. You know, any Black retail store, type it in right now. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And want of all things, everything that we want. You're not born unless they say so. You need a birth certificate to even be considered to be existing. You're not dead till you get a death certificate. The want of all things. You can't even have your want. Your woman's not yours till you get a marriage certificate. That's not your woman till they say it's your woman. The want of all things, we got to go to them for. Everything. That's a sign and a wonder right now. Who is going out? Who is going to their enemies for everything? That's only Black, Hispanics, and Natives. Those so-called Jewish people, they have their money. They have their resources. They have everything. They darn near running the world. Who? Asians? Asians have resources. They have their businesses. You know what I'm saying? Who? Africans? Africans have their own land. They have their culture. They have their identity. They don't need nothing. But who is in need of all things and have to go to their enemies for it? None but Black, Hispanics, and Native people. We're discussing the white man as the yes, he is the oppressor, the colonizer, the oppressor. I like oppressor better than colonizer. He shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Let me show you what a yoke of iron is. I don't know if y'all privy to this, but those that are on TikTok, you got to go to the YouTube or the or the Facebook to see these pictures. But a yoke of iron was the thing that they'll put on our necks to control us. You know what I'm saying? Like ox's yoke wasn't even made of iron. That was made of wood. But they gave us yokes of iron. You know what I'm saying? They had yokes like this. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy right there. The regular ball and chain type yoke that we are familiar with. And they had this one, which is weird to me. That yoke of iron was like straight, it had bells on it. So if you're running away, if you're thinking of running, the master knows where you're at because you can't get that yoke off. But it got bells on you, so you can't even run away. You can't even run away. You know what I'm saying? They had yokes of iron. They put yokes of iron upon that neck, and that was a biblical curse. Who else went through that? Who else had biblical irons around their necks? You know what I'm saying? Who else did that? These curses are signs and a wonder. They're strictly for us to see who the Israelites are. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Until he have destroyed thee. Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We didn't understand English. We didn't understand what they were saying. Before they stripped us of the language that we were speaking, they forced English upon us. They forced Spanish upon us. They forced French upon us. They forced Portuguese upon us. Those ain't our languages. You know what I'm saying? Those were not our languages. Those languages were forced upon us. So he sent a nation from afar. But let's continue. Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance. This nation was a fierce nation. These nations are these Spaniards. This nation is the French. This nation is, you know what I'm saying, the Englishmen. This nation is the Portuguese. These nations are these slave drivers, the Dutch, the Italian. You know what I'm saying, the Irish. He put all these nations against. These were fierce nations, right? Fierce nations. But let's continue. Which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the person of young. Like, you think, like, there's pictures of babies, photographs, not even like drawings. There's photographs of literal babies picking cotton. Photographs of babies. They have no favor for the young nor the old. There's old, decrepit people picking cotton. They didn't care for the old or the young. These oppressors didn't care about nothing but their own pocket, their own lust, their own greed. And you think anything changed today? You think they changed today? You think any of that changed today? We got kids working today. My first job was literally sweeping up a parking lot for a liquor store at the age of 7. I know old people to this day, old people still working. They have no regard for the old or young. They don't care. Look at Tamir Rice, 12 years old, shot down in less than 2 seconds. There was a sister in New York shot down in a house. Shot down in the house. She was old. I think she was like 60-something years old. Shot down. Because she had a bat. Like, you couldn't wrestle the bat out of that old lady's hands. And y'all came into her house. She had the right to hold her bat. Y'all busting her house, looking for her kids. They have no regard for the old or young. No matter how old you are, they're going to shoot you down. No matter how young you are, they're going to shoot you down. Our enemy is our enemy. And the quicker we understand that, and the quicker we know that, and the quicker we learn that, the better we are as a people. The better we are. Whole lot better. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Let's drop down to how much time we got? We got a little bit of time. Let's drop down to verse let's drop down to verse 53. Now I'm going to take it off the oppressor a bit. We're going to deal with some in-house stuff right now. We're going to deal with the in-house problems. Even though our enemy is even to blame for our in-house problems, I blame our enemy for everything. Every little thing. There's nothing I don't blame him for. Everything. But peep it. Verse 53. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of thy son and the flesh of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. That's a curse. Once upon a time, Israelites actually did eat their kids. Through distress and through worry, they actually did eat their babies. Literally. How are we eating them now? We eating them now because we are destroying our kids and our babies through this American customs and American culture that we are forcing upon them. We are not giving our kids any moral compass. You know what I'm saying? Our mothers are teaching our sons to sell drugs, teaching our daughters to get on the stripper pole. We are destroying them. We are eating them alive. We are doing the same thing today. Back then, once upon a time, we ate them literally. Now we're eating them figuratively. We have a lot of problems in our community that needs to be dealt with. Pedophilia is constantly swept under the rug in the Black community. Pedophilia should be dealt with instantly, but instead we are hiding that uncle, you know what I'm saying, from the police, protecting that sick uncle, and instead of handing him over, we still celebrating Christmases and Thanksgivings, having that child suffer through that, looking at that same uncle that molested them or did whatever to him, and we are destroying our kids by doing that. We are rather take the pedophile side than the victim side. The Black community has a big problem with this, and it has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. You see that sick uncle? Call the police on him. Let him go through the justice system. If he's innocent, he's innocent. If he's not, he's not, right? Or even better, call us in the I.S.U.P.K. We have our own ways of handling stuff like that. You call one of us in a city near you, you go on www.isupk.com. There's a whole list of locations. Call the nearest one near you. There's no distance that we won't travel. And we'll solve that issue. Guaranteed. All right. Let's just stop destroying our kids. Let's stop teaching them to go after money more than having some type of morals and standards. You know what I'm saying? Because you going after money is over your morals is what literally is selling your soul to the devil. Hold on to your morals. Hold on to your standards. Hold on to your integrity. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Which the Lord thy God hath given thee in the siege. Oh, yeah, I read that. 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother and toward his wife and his bosom and the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. That's another issue. Through some bitterness in our heart, we have anger towards each other. The Black man has anger towards his brother. The Black man has anger towards his women. The Black man has anger towards his children. Black man has anger towards his parents, and we got to solve that. And the best way to solve that is to go to the I.S.U.P.K, understand why these things happen to you or happening to you, and how to deal with it properly. How to confront your pain, how to confront your past. You know what I'm saying? That's what the ISUPK is built on. And that's what we are here to do. You know what I'm saying? You go through that and we'll teach you how to talk to that father that abandoned you, talk to that mother that abused you. We'll teach you how to deal with that and learn to forgive them and learn to become a family again. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he have nothing left them in the siege. Because we have nothing. We leaving our children out here in this country, you know what I'm saying, just wilding. We ain't giving them no type of foundation, no type of nothing. We just leaving them out to die. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to drop that. I want to get to some of the meat of this. You know what I'm saying? I did want to hit. Time is short though. Time is short, but yeah, I could never get through all these curses. But let's go to verse this is going to be the last verse. We're going to go to Deuteronomy 28 verse 68. It's going to be the last verse. It's going to be the curse to seal it all. You know what I'm saying? Now, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, Egypt is not actually the name of that country. The biblical name of that country is Mizraim. Egypt is a term which means bondage. If you look throughout the Bible, Egypt is always equated to bondage. So he shall bring thee again into bondage. And I'm going to prove that further while reading this verse. Let's continue. He shall bring thee into Egypt or bondage again with ships. Now, they walked out of Egypt. They walked out. How's he going to bring them back into Egypt with ships? So you got to ask yourself, who has went into bondage by ships? But hold on, there's more to it. Let me continue. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. So the way they came, they're not going to see that way again, right? I mean, the way they left, they ain't going to see it. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Now, we already established who our enemy is. Now, I know y'all like to bring up other countries like, oh, the Irish were slaves. No, they weren't. The Irish were not slaves. Y'all going to bring up a whole bunch of things. English enslaving other Englishmen. No. What they call it, the Barnaby slave trade? What Barnaby slave? No. Doesn't even equate. They wasn't even brought in by ships. They were brought in by land. No. Only one group of people have went into slavery by ships. That's the Black, Hispanics, and Natives. The Hispanic and Natives were slaves before the blacks were. As soon as Columbus landed, he took some natives back. He took specifically Tainos back to England to be slaves. Christopher Columbus, yes, he equals enemy. Christopher Columbus straight up took Tainos to be slaves. And it happened more than that. You know what I'm saying? We're in Massachusetts. Massasoit was a slave. Chief Massasoit, who this state is damn near named after. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall save you. No man shall buy you. No man's going to get us out of this predicament that we're in. No man can get us out of this predicament, man. And this predicament is going to last for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Until we get our act together and start loving Black, Hispanic, and Native, start uniting and loving each other more than we love our enemies. That's our problem. We rather love our enemies more than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? That's all we're doing is loving our enemy. But with that, I'm going to end this class. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, straight out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General YAHANNA. I am Priest and Officer Ricard Ariel. And with that, Shalom.